Welcome back, everybody. We're so excited about our next interview with Barb Skidmore. Barb is a travel writer, which we cannot wait to hear more about. And then also, you do social media marketing as well as outside center consulting.
Mhm.
And so, we most of the time just start off these interviews and ask you to just tell us a little bit about yourself and like how, where you came from and how you got to where you are today.
Sure. So I actually am a speech language pathologist originally trade. So I've worked master's program and had two children, did speech therapy for about 12 years. And then I kind of launched my account didn't really launch it. I just started taking pictures of food and some other places throughout Charleston, and that started to grow and grow and grow. And then I started to learn the statistics behind growth and how to grow and what to do. And so I started doing that, which kind of kicked me over into that influencer world, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I flipped into a couple of people started asking me to, hey, will you take over my account? Will you do this? Will you do that? So I started to just basically start my own company in order to also manage influencers that are coming in, but also help them with their social media. So I do like small businesses, medium-sized businesses, and a couple large ones. And I have a team of 4 to 5 people. I just hired somebody. And as a writer or on that side of things, I got into that because my husband and I travel all the time. Constantly, we're taking our kids, taking ourselves without the kids, and we go to pretty unique places. And so that's when I started tapping into some of those areas for writing. That's when people said, "Oh, you're going to Patagonia. That's different and unique." Or you're going to Ecuador. That's also different and unique. It's not just the typical Italy. Not that I don't love Italy. I love Italy. But so we're going to very interesting places. Estonia, Lithuania, just visiting places that most people don't have. And so a lot of times that's an easier outlet when people want to know more about it because nobody's been. So doing that. And then I also write for, Eater and do some stuff through Savannah and Charleston. And then Condé Nast through Savannah and Charleston. So
tell us how do y'all pick your places where you travel? Because I imagine even before all this happened, y'all were still traveling and choosing fun and interesting places to go.
Yeah. So my husband has traveled to about 90 countries for work, and I'm about like 40. So he's ahead of the game. So we go back and forth. So he chooses and then I choose. So for example, he's been to Italy 3 times, but I hadn't been. So that was one of my choices. So he had to go back. But then he usually chooses the very random places. Like his choice was the Latvia, Lithuania, and doing Estonia, which a lot of people don't do, but also equally beautiful. I'm glad we did it, but he usually picks the obscure places that he's never been to. And I usually fall back to I haven't been here yet kind of places.
Yeah. Well, how do you share about your experiences in each place? Do you primarily use Instagram, or are you writing for magazines? How have you found it to be the easiest to share?
I share through Instagram. A lot of people want product placement in certain areas. So, again, it's if you're on a glacier in Patagonia, you're going to have pretty placement of, products. And then I also write about them as well. And it's more of like sorry, I'm turning off this volume. It's more of a, nobody's been there. So what would you do? Or what's your 2-day itinerary? What's your 4-day itinerary? Or, would you go here? Would you go here? I get a lot of questions about why did you pick this? Why would we go? If we have kids, would we go? Should we not go with kids? Those kind of things. We bring our kids to some places, and then we went to Iceland first without the kids, and then we figured out what we could do with them, and then we brought them back for their Christmas present.
That's great. That's all right. So, Barb, we just had Juju Taylor on right before you, and we enjoyed getting to hear her story. But one of the similarities that the two of y'all have is that y'all both seem to be really great at like diversifying what you do. So not only are you on Instagram and you're also writing about your travel. And then also now you've taken the skills that you've proven to be really great at and been able to consult and help, with the digital marketing side of things. So you went from speech therapy into writing, and now you're growing this business. And so how do you sort of prioritize having all of these different, irons in the fire? Like where is most of your day spent?
Most of my day is spent in front of my phone, or, walking around and still in front of my phone. But most of my day is either in front of a computer or in front of my phone, unless I'm traveling, which I still have all the things with me. But I spend the majority of my time on my clients, which is the social media, the influencer management. I dedicate some hours to writing just because I love writing. And in the end, I think that when I, retire, I want to be on a beach writing from wherever I am. And then, I don't do speech therapy anymore. And Instagram is kind of, for my personal Instagram is my creative outlet. I can post this because I want to. I don't post it because I have to, or somebody's telling me to. It's more of so Blushing Alpacas in particular is my, this is what I'm doing. This is what I like. And this is, great food. I'm not a reviewer. I'm a picture taker. I take lots of photos, and I'll tell people definitely where to go. But I don't say, oh, you shouldn't go there. I mostly say this is what you should go there, kind of thing.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, I have to ask, where did the name Blushing Alpacas come from?
That was going to be my question. That's a good one.
It's a good one. It's a unique name.
It actually came from hiking Machu Picchu. So my husband and I did the hike, the 4-day hike up to the, up to Dead Woman's Pass and around, and we finally get to Machu Picchu. And since we hiked, we came in and we were still in our hiking gear and probably didn't smell very well. Then you see all these buses coming up that were, perfectly pictured people. And I'm like, oh, our pictures aren't going to be as nice. And then you see like alpacas like right there. And so the alpaca was more like, how did you get up here? Like, why do you live here? kind of thing. And then it's more of like, well, if they can do it, I can do it. And that blushing alpacas, blushing was just like the feminine component of it. So yeah. I don't have any alpacas. I love them. They're so cute, but I don't have any. I don't think Mount Pleasant will allow me.
Yeah. Not many alpacas in South Carolina.
What?
No, there's a farm.
Well, so when we started the Wealth Edit a year ago, we did all sorts of surveys with women. Like, what do you want to hear about? What do you need to know more about? What is a passion of yours? And by far and away, it was travel. We launched on International Women's Day on March 8th, and then went into quarantine 4 days later. So now we're just now beginning, as a society to talk about travel again. And so, what would you say? I have a few questions specifically about travel. So I guess the first one would be, how do you think about travel just as a family, outside of all of these other things, that you do that are related to your job? If you met somebody for the first time, what would you tell them if travel was something that they wanted to invest in as a family or as an individual?
Well, I love travel. I think it's one of our identities. It's one of the reasons that Corey, my husband, and I get along so well. I think it introduces my children to the world. When we were in Ecuador, we were at an open air market, and they had shoes, and then they had the chickens that they were cutting the necks off of, and my daughter said, "What is this?" And I'm like, "This is like their Target, their Walmart. This is where they get all of their things. All of their food comes from here. All of their clothes comes from here." And she just was like, "What?" But learning that, America is fantastic and great, and I love this country, but learning what other people are also doing is humbling, and it's also just eye awakening, and it also gives her, her and my son, like that cultural component to it. My husband and I, when we travel together, because we just do my husband and I and my kids, we usually do a little more challenging things, a little more like the hiking up Machu Picchu. And then again, it's the cultural, being able to meet people, see the world, learn about the world, understand the world. I think it's huge component to life. And I think that's what we give for presents. We don't give anniversary presents. We go on an anniversary trip. We don't give Christmas presents. I mean, my kids get some Christmas presents. I'm not going to be the evil mom that doesn't give them anything, but they get a trip. So that they do the scavenger hunt in the morning, and they have to figure out where we're going for either that day or like, in the summer this year. But it's a huge component of it. I just got my vaccine. Part of that was because I wanted to travel. So
Me too.
I'm ready to roll.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with
And there's
that.
a lot of tricks to traveling.
Oh yeah, so share those. We want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot. My husband speaks 9 languages, so I'm a little I'm a little further ahead of the curve than most people. So when we go to a place, usually he can speak it or he'll learn it by the time we get there, which is one of the reasons I married him. No, I'm just kidding. It didn't hurt. But we like to do, we do a lot of a lot of the trips. I have cards, give the points. So we're going to Belize in a book through points. It's all booked through. Some of it, I have somebody sponsoring me for Instagram. And then I have, and I'm collecting those points, but I also found the tickets via Scott's Cheap Air Flights in order to locate those kind of quick tickets that I still book through the airline, and I still use my points to do so, but I get alerted when there's airfares out of certain airports. And so that's great because I have 5 different airports I alert out of. And so it'll send me it just sent me a Greece. I get tempted every day, but it sent me a Greece airfare for $400 direct out of Charlotte. And I was like, oh, can we do this?
Yeah.
So, that's automatically what I think, but you have to be quick on the uptake. They have, or you can lose the times, and some people don't have that availability to be able to book whatever, but thankfully I work from my phone. So my husband has lots of years in work, so we have lots of flexibility. So we're able to pick it right then. I got tickets for $120 to Santiago for 4 people. So
that's amazing. And that's all on that Scott. Is that right?
It's on Scott's Cheap Flights. It's on Google, Google Flights, and you just have to be able to be flexible and then manipulate the dates and the times and where you're willing to go, and things will just start picking up. If you don't, have restrictions. Like people say, I want to go to Italy. So if you're only going to go to Italy, you're only going to fly out of this airport, you're going to pay a lot more than if I say, I'll go to Charlotte, because there's not, it's not that far.
Yeah.
It's a direct flight. They have a lounge. It's fine.
One question I have from personal, because I get the Scott's emails, but do you pay for the monthly fee, or is it just the free version?
I feel no, I pay it's $49 a year, and I pay for it, and it's paid for itself times 10.
Okay. Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, I was just looking at it not too long ago and trying to figure out how to navigate it. And that was I didn't have anybody to ask, which one do I use? So I get some alerts, but not the full ones yet.
It's overwhelming. To me, it's not overwhelming, but I get a lot of times my friends will say, oh my God, I want to do this, but I just, what if I book this flight and this one, cancels, or what if I do this and then this cancels? And I'm like, you have to take the chance if you really need the insurance, to take the insurance, but most of the time it's going to get refunded if you can't go on it, especially right now anyway. So
have you,
so we still flew, we were supposed to go to, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. Sorry, there's a little lag.
Yeah, we've flown domestic already during COVID. So we took our kids to South Dakota, and we went to Miami Beach. So we're excited for our Belize trip.
Belize is awesome. I've been one time, and it's so great. And but okay, so tell us about, so your whole, a lot of what you do, a lot of your income is tied to travel, and then COVID hits. So how does that work? Not specifically with your income, but how did you kind of pivot when all of a sudden we weren't allowed to travel anymore?
Well, actually, most of my income doesn't come from traveling. I use that as my extra. Most of my income comes from my clients and my business. So that's where most of it filters from. But the sponsor, I usually get my trips paid for. So that component is still there, but you know, the actual income doesn't come from that. It comes from, you know, running other people's accounts and helping them with social media and influencers and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
which is so good to hear.
so it didn't really affect me that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's really great to hear because, you know, a lot of times what you see online is not actually what's happening. So like it sounds like you get to do blushing alpacas and it gets to be kind of this creative outlet for you because you have these other streams of income that are super stable.
Correct.
Yeah.
And because, you know, certain people can spend their money on, you know, certain, I always say it's decisions that we all make. So, you know, we don't have any student loan debt. We don't have any credit card debt. We don't have any, I mean, we buckled down for the first 10 years of our marriage, and now it's allowed us to, you know, I don't have any car debt. I don't have, so I spend my money where I want to spend my money. And for me, it's traveling.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, well, so switching gears a little bit, we do want to know about your business, and I know it's growing rapidly, and I know that also comes with its own set of new things to conquer and tackle and learn about. And I know you've recently added a new employee. So how has that process been?
That's been trickier. You go from getting a paycheck just handed to you, working your hours, getting a paycheck handed to you, to now you're running a business and now you're responsible for other people in your business as well as the companies that you represent. So that was a fairly large learning curve, and it came very quickly for me. And so, you know, which is great because it was all word of mouth, but you know, they said, oh, we like what you're doing. Who's your person? It's her. So then I'd bring, you know, so then I'd start working. And initially it was just me. I was running all the accounts, and then I started getting bigger and bigger. And I possibly couldn't do that. Should I turn them away? Should I still be a one-man person? But I felt like I could start growing it. And so it's that, how to grow the business that I, you know, I'm still struggling with it. I had a conversation with my husband yesterday. I'm like, so do I hire another person? Do I just try to do the work until I get to the point where I should hire another person? Which then, you know, he says, no, obviously you're stressed out enough. You're doing other things. But, you know, those are the kind of things I think about when you look at the numbers and who's making what and how are they doing. And I'm all virtual. So the people I hire have to be self-motivated. And that's hard to do if somebody's not watching you all the time. And so found some really good people. And then one of my really good people just left, just wanted to focus more on children. And so unfortunately, you know, I said, I can work with you. I can do whatever you want. But she was like, no, I don't want to be on my phone all the time. I just had a baby. And I understand. So I was there. I'm not there anymore. So that's been a little more difficult than the traveling component. That's just for fun.
Yeah. Building a team is hard. I mean, it really is. It's like it's what we talk about a lot on here. And it's what a lot of people as they're building their businesses struggle with, is really just putting the right people in the right seats. So, well, we so appreciate you being on here. We really do. And I know the time has gone by so quickly. And I just wanted to know, one thing we ask everybody before they go is why you said yes to the Wealth Edit, because we're so grateful that you did.
Well, I think it's important. I think it's really important for people to take that step to, if they have an idea or a thing. I kept saying to myself, even after I started my business, oh, I'm a speech therapist, until my husband looked at me and he said, no, you run your own company. You're not a speech therapist anymore. Remember when you took that step and you decided to move forward? And I think a lot of people are afraid to take that first step, or maybe they don't have the finances yet to take the first step. And lucky for me, I was on his insurance. So I was I had gotten to that point where I was able to, but I think a lot of people just kind of look at it from the side saying, well, I can't possibly do that, but you can. I think that's why it's important. You know, that's kind of why I said yes. So you can do it. Yeah. It may be hard, and you may cry, but you can still do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's just really important to have other women that are encouraging you to, to hear what you're saying and say, you can do it, and you can change your career, and you can re-identify. I think that's a hard thing. And it is one of those, but I feel like at the Wealth Edit, that's part of our mission, is to help women see their potential and to have the courage to step out and do it. So thank you so much
Right.
for being here today.
Well,
We really
thanks.
appreciate it. And
And
we
thank you.
look forward to hopefully speaking again soon.
Yeah, sounds great.
Thanks,
Thank
Barb.
you.
All right, bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.